I don't know what I was saying there.
What's the line? I say it that way because...
It's how the movie treats it. Yugov is giving control of the country to the Vatican.
Huh. I cannot help you.
I don't know what I was trying to say.
Okay.
That's fine. Let's move on.
Delete it.
Right. Yeah, please delete that entire thing where I was saying.
It's going to be the opening.
Welcome once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
My name is Hillary.
And I am Josh, a.k.a. PK Killer.
Lame.
Now, before we start with anything else, I did want to ask you one thing that you're not quite ready for.
Oh,
But you should have an answer.
Oh, no.
How was season 2 of The Exorcist?
I'm only halfway through it, and I'm loving it.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. John Cho stays in it?
Oh, my God. Well, so far. I'm not that far into it, but yeah.
I don't know. I just assume, like, John Cho, maybe he's there for one episode.
That was such a delight.
Yeah.
That was such a fun surprise. I adore John Cho.
Quick shout out to something John Cho was in, Searching.
Yep, which will be out on DVD soon enough for me to rent because I missed it in the theaters, and I'm so bummed.
It was fucking great.
The couple times I actually had time to go see it, they didn't have a time. They didn't have a time that was available that was good for me.
Yeah, the movie should have been bigger, but that's fine.
Yeah. Also, I'll still support him. I'll go to Redbox.
That's right. But moving on to the actual episode we have here, let's quickly talk about anything we feel really good about or bad about last time, our hits and misses.
Balls.
I have to.
I knew this was coming.
But I wanted to clarify, but I do realize that Renfield from Dracula is not actually a werewolf, at least in the original story.
Oh, okay.
I think I was conflating it with him being a werewolf in some version of the story, but Renfield is not.
Did someone correct you, or did you realize it yourself?
I just realized it myself.
Ugh, I hate that. You're listening back, and you're like, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then my other thing was, I feel like we missed a opportunity that we haven't had many chances to talk about quite yet, in that, because we were watching The Exorcist, the TV series, and how movies and television, especially horror varieties, validate the tenets of Christianity. Catholicism in particular.
Okay.
Because almost every horror movie about like a demon or a ghost or something has a literal Catholic, not just a religious fella, usually a Catholic coming in and being like, well, the church, blah, blah, this thing.
Right.
And it really validates this whole idea, even though, like, as far as Christian sects go, I wouldn't even consider Catholicism one of the more believable ones. And it's weird that there's this, like, Hollywood feedback loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all.
Hopefully we'll get to do more of these types of,
Because, and we've talked in person about this before, but stuff like The Conjuring or The Nun or a lot of horror movies are in our vein because they are religious movies because of this.
They are religious movies, and I think it's because Catholicism is so creepy.
That could be it.
There's just levels of creepiness to it.
I thought of it more...
I actually am drawn to Catholicism because of how creepy it is, because I like the macabre and like the weird and the eerie and the very ancient traditions and kid rape.
I thought of it more cynically, I guess, in that I just assume, like, the military.
Just realized the way I worded that made it sound like I like the kid rape part. I don't like that. But it makes it creepy. It adds to the creepiness.
It makes it worse.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and
the same way you listen to murder podcasts. I'm not into murder.
Yeah, I don't think murder is good or cool. I do find it absolutely fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was more like the military in Hollywood, where it's a nice commercial. Like, the military will cooperate with your Hollywood movie because it lets them show off their Black Hawk helicopters, or how coordinated and awesome Navy SEALs are.
For them.
It's free propaganda for the military, it's free propaganda for the church. Yeah. And so they're like, absolutely, you want us to come in and, like, save the day?
Want to borrow my ropes?
Right.
Yeah.
I got, like, 4 dudes. So that's how I take it. But you're right, it could be both, or either, or neither.
It's very interesting.
But it's just one of those things that we will bring up again, but we could have at least touched on it.
We coulda.
Yeah, that's all. And I want to validate your...
Season 2 of Exorcist.
Yeah.
We can do it.
I also want to validate your Catholicism is creepy thing. Mm-hmm. I had an assignment in college to go to a church. It could be any church, but just go to a church and say how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Because I don't really go into churches that much. And I went to the local huge Catholic church. think it's St. Joseph's.
Good choice.
That place is fucking creepy.
Terrifying.
That's what I wrote. I only had to write like a page. I was like, here's the thing. This is the scariest experience I've ever had.
Right.
Not literally, but like it was just like, I did not like it even a little bit.
Do you think some of that is because of the correlation between Catholicism and horror movies? Like, do you think subconsciously you're like, oh, this is where a lot of shit goes down?
I don't believe that's what I was thinking.
No.
I think it's the way it was built. It's really high ceilings. They had music playing, and it was incensey and like...
Yeah, I'm allergic to their incense usually.
And for me, it was as though the building was intentionally built to make me feel small and insignificant.
Yes.
Especially compared to...
Was.
Yeah, and I fully believe that's what it was for, but it was like, why would I want that feeling?
It's supposed to be like it's supposed to represent or pay homage to the grandiosity of God.
Right, and I got all that. I was just like, I did not like it though.
Fucking creepy.
Yeah, I did not.
I went into Notre Dame with my mom when we were in Paris. Terrifying. Not just like we climbed to the very top and got to see like all the gargoyles and all that stuff. Love it. Love Gothic architecture. But being inside the actual, like, where the masses happen, it was the eeriest feeling. Yeah.
Alright, so now let's talk about what we're actually doing today.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
It's the second Leap, which I've already forgotten the full title of.
Leap. Rise of the Beast.
That's right. It was something stupid like that.
Yes. I also
Rise
don't...
of the Beast.
I'm not a big fan of sequels which don't indicate which number it is.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's do a quick thing and just, instead of talking about this piece of shit movie, let's just describe it in one simple sentence.
Okay. In one sentence, I would say, student filmmaker / doomsday prepper attempts to recreate The Handmaid's Tale for Christians.
Oh, God. Mine was a student film made by people who did not study film.
Also very true.
Because no one in this movie knows how to make a movie.
No.
But it's clearly got the budget of college students.
Yeah, it seems like it had a little bit better budget than the first one, but they have learned nothing in between the filming of these two.
This is true. I believe the first one was made on $200.
Yeah.
This one, I believe, is $2,000.
Holy damn.
Yeah. Woo.
You can see it.
You can see it. Now, I will say, to start off, this movie has a much better camera. This was not filmed through a paper towel. It was filmed on actual camera.
Which we actually, I don't know if we mentioned it in the last episode for the first one, but it actually had at the very beginning of the movie the type of camera they used, like filmed on, and I'm like, oh, that is not something that company wants to be known for. I don't remember what it was, like Canon something.
Yeah, but it was not a camera that should have been made for film.
It didn't do a good job.
Yeah, but this one's better. Yeah. They used a real proper camera,
Good
so
on them.
they learned one thing.
Yeah.
Don't film through a paper towel.
It did look better.
So, let's just go ahead and start. We open our movie with more text, but this time it's in a totally bitchin' futuristic font.
Yes.
Do you remember it's like...
That's when we got their hands on a computer. Yeah.
And it is, "Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand." And this is from Revelation 1:3. If you're not aware, the book of Revelation from the Bible. The last book and the most interesting, because it is insane.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Cool, so is this movie.
Yeah, it's clearly an entire metaphor for some stuff that's happening, but people who take the stuff literally think it literal. So it's like, and I am not exaggerating, a creature will rise from the sea. It's got seven... Yeah, a beast rises from the sea. It's got 7 heads with 7 crowns. A woman rides, like, the harlot rides the beast. The stars literally fall from the sky. I can't remember all of it, but it's just a crazy read. You should check it out.
If
you ever want to just read the Bible.
I've read the majority, if not all of the Bible at some point, but...
The Revelation is... Maybe we should just do an episode on the book of Revelation.
I'd be down for that. Oh man, we'd have to read it.
It's fun, though. It's crazy, but it's fun. That's what makes it fun.
Maybe I'll get one of those, like, kid picture books versions.
There you go.
Yeah.
We learn in the very first speaking scene that in a desperate attempt to save its economy, the U.S. has merged with Europe and has adopted the euro. And as part of the new merger, the U.S. is requiring that everyone get rice-sized microchips implanted into their hands, which will serve as credit cards. This is all...
I'm down for all of this.
Yeah, this is all harkening back to the first film, you missed that episode or didn't see it, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't see it. It's all talking about that. And whatever. Only thing to really mention about the last Step movie is only the main character from it is in this movie. Everyone else is not.
That's right. That's true.
Except for
We'll find out later.
the one thing we'll find out later, which is the craziest thing I've possibly ever seen in a movie.
Insanity.
But
This was made before, like, Apple Watches and stuff. So I wonder how this guy is dealing.
oh man,
With Mark.
he might be dead.
He's in a bunker. I can
Yeah.
tell you he's probably in a bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we now see a young man running to some heart-pumping tune, and shortly thereafter his pursuer appears, a very clearly out-of-shape man who calls for some backup. He's dressed in the uniform
Fat cops.
Yeah, he's a fat cop. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna need some backup. And the new guy seems to either be a free runner or a pursuer, because we do know those are different.
Yep.
And our
Or a
last...
tracer, as some of the people in this movie call it.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce their stupid script right. But he runs past Shane, who sees all of this happening. So
Shane is our hero.
Right, from the last movie.
From the first movie,
And
yeah.
this movie, of course.
Obviously.
So he follows the chase and chasers, and the initial runner is trapped by the two guards. The one who is clearly out of shape, and his backup, who just showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Really quick backup.
Yeah. Oh, and they tell the kid that he really should have just taken the chip. He apparently doesn't have one, and they caught him somehow.
It's like illegal to not have the chip implanted.
Right. As they decide to beat him up instead of anything else, Shane interrupts and insists they let the kid go. And now, our first epic fight scene begins. And by epic...
Basically, it's like the original Batman series, just like a thwap, pow, weird sound effects, ill-timed and strange sound effects while they kick at the air, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah, and by epic, I do mean the most awkward badassery I have ever witnessed.
Yeah.
And awkward badassery is my favorite kind. I've seen a lot of it, and this still possibly wins.
It's the worst of the. It's the best of the worst.
Let's see. One of the cops tries to hit Shane. He dodges easily. He takes his nightstick and he smashes him in the face.
Or tries to look like he's smashing him in the face,
right.
but fails miserably.
Yeah. It's basically the level of choreography you get from children who are fake fighting.
Yeah.
Not like wrestling, just fake fighting. Like, oh, you're down.
Yeah, have you ever watched LARPing? Very similar.
Very similar to LARPing. Except LARPers will often get foam swords that you can at least hit the other
And
person
actually
with.
thwap each other.
Right. So, the kid that's being chased, his name is Luke. It's going to be important. He was being chased because he was stealing. But he complains that too many places are chip only, so he had no choice. And he pulls out what he was stealing, and it was a bunch of candy.
Yeah, because he's a child.
You can't be like, I just couldn't buy any food. I need a chip.
Family.
I have a Snickers bar.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
No, we're not on your side, Luke. Also, his facial hair makes me throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, I thought you might have something to
Oh
say.
God, it grossed me out so bad.
And there's two people in this movie with that facial hair.
At least two. I
Yeah.
think this was a movie of like my facial hair nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Shane is upset with Luke for stealing, and he tells him to stop because he's putting all of them at risk. And Luke realizes that this is Shane from the Leap crew.
Holy shit, you're like famous.
Yeah. Luke tells him that he could have fought him off on his own. He didn't need his help. And Shane runs away. It's like, oh, you've heard of me. And he just ditches. He's like, all right.
It's just stupid.
Stop stealing. You're stupid. I don't know. This was a very...
Bye.
Like, I think your opening scene is usually the one you'd use to get people into your movie.
Right.
I can't imagine many people seeing this and be like, oh, I need to see the rest of this. Except for
Family and
us,
friends.
because we had to see the rest of it.
And they have family and friends that I guess loan them $2,000 also.
Yeah. So we now cut to 2 years ago so that we can understand exactly what's happened. And we find Shane training in his apartment. And while he does, he receives a phone call from Michael, which is a character from the last movie who we will never see again. Two guys are on stage on the TV arguing about religion. And this is supposed to be very troubling. Mm-hmm. One of them is a representative from the Vatican, so bear that in mind. Another phone call tells us that Tina and Sarah from the last movie are also gone. And the Sarah news, at least for us, is brand new. Because she was alive at the end of the last movie, and apparently has been killed in the meantime.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's just one of these, she's like, oh.
Was Sarah the brunette?
Yeah, the brunette.
Okay, gotcha.
He's like, my friends Tina and Sarah were also killed. And I don't know what happened to Michael.
Okay,
He's just
Sarah
gone.
probably went away to college
Yeah,
somewhere
of
else.
course.
Like, moved, or was like, no, I don't want to be
Right, because Michael and Tina were the ones who are clearly from the Ukraine.
Right.
Shane is the main character of our movies, and Sarah had the good sense to be like, no thanks.
Yeah, my acting days are behind
Do you think she
me.
shows people this movie?
No, I don't.
I would.
Would you?
Yeah, like, this is a movie I made. I know it's absurd.
Yeah.
Okay, but he also says that the rest of the crew is dead. Maybe not literally, but that the crew is died and that they are not street preaching anymore. And a voiceover from Shane tells us that in 2012, President Yugov took over the world, but the Leap crew knew that he was the Antichrist the whole time. One of his first acts was to get rid of religious faith, and without the moral backing that faith provides, things went from bad to worse. Because this movie is nothing if not Christian fantasy sci-fi writing.
Deep. It's insane.
Right.
Yeah, the persecution level is at critical mass.
The whole, you will have no morals if you lose your faith. It's like, okay, that's not how any of this works. It's
right,
never
the
been
government,
how any of
the
it works.
government stepping in and forcing people into like a specific religion, and like people losing their religious freedoms. Blah
But-
blah blah. Handmaid's Tale.
But after they lost Tina, the first of the previous crew to be killed, they started living off the grid. But Shane has continued training others to, in his words, fly.
That's right. That's such a good line.
And my actual note here
Now
is...
he's Peter Pan.
Right. You just gotta believe in yourself. And Jesus.
And Jesus dust.
Now, I wrote, my first note here... Sorry. My note that I wrote after all of that was, good lord, that is a lot of really bad exposition right at the start of this movie. But the movie does begin properly by some loose definition of the word begin.
It begins.
Something happens.
Yeah, my favorite part about the opening, outside of as soon as the fight and all that stuff is over, he goes back. He talks about being off the grid, and then goes to the exact apartment they were in the first.
Oh, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
Because Shane arrives home in his secret hideout, which is 100% the same apartment he used to live in.
An apartment complex with lights, and yeah.
It's also got the same swords on the wall.
Right.
Actually, actual
They're still
swords.
using their phones and stuff. That's not what off the grid means.
Like, you're not off the grid in any way. Now, they do occasionally be like, I can't be traced. And
Yeah,
they don't
like-
bother explaining how or why.
Yeah, but I'm
But-
like, you're paying rent, right?
Yeah, like, how do you have this apartment? Which is the same apartment.
Right.
You just told your landlord,
How
hey,
are you
man.
paying rent without your chip?
Hey, man, I know, like, we're supposed to have a chip, but, like, I just want to stay here off the grid. Is that cool? And the landlord's like, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. But the point is, they're off the grid.
Yeah.
In this very public apartment that they live in with neighbors.
Right.
In a commune, by the way, because there's like 4 of them, and they just
It's like
live in a
one
little
bedroom.
live in
Yeah.
a little hippie community.
It's my guess is it's the director's place
Mm.
with all the movie memorabilia and shit. Also, I realized that they were not African masks on the wall; they're some sort of Asian masks.
Okay.
So there's a miss for you
There you go. Miss from 2 weeks ago.
from 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
Great.
Caught
We
some more
also
of I caught some more of the movies too on his shelf.
okay.
You want to hear them?
Yeah.
He has Catch Me If You Can, The Matrix trilogy, Big Daddy, Survivor Man fits.
Yeah.
The Prestige, The Good Shepherd, Juno, Step Up, and Leap. He has the DVD
I didn't even know they
for
made
his
DVDs.
first film on his shelf.
Of course. And
Right
he has-
behind the character. So you can see it.
That's great. And he walked in on this building in this secret hideout of theirs, and one of the girls was cooking. And we get a step-by-step on how food works. Because after she's done, we have to watch her take it from the pot she's cooking in and repeatedly try to get it onto the plate. But it's like stuck to the fork.
It's embarrassing.
So she's taking this and she's like scraping it like...
I don't remember this.
It was very brief, but I just remember like, why are we watching this woman put this fucking rice on a plate and she's not even doing it well? I was so confused, but it's
Oh my
fine.
god, that's hilarious.
This movie is just one of those things that we're gonna have to live with.
We're just, yep. I can't wait for this to be in my past.
Now, this event is happening after the first scene where Shane beats up the guards. So he tells a story of, how he saved that kid to this new crew. And one of them says that Tresseurs seem to be multiplying. And Shane points out that it's only because they're drawing attention. Because Tresseurs believe in freedom, and so they refuse to get chipped.
Right.
And I wrote here...
believe in freedom.
I wrote, PK really is their religion.
It really is.
Because not all of the Tresseurs are religious like Shane is.
Right.
And refuse to get the chip for biblical reasons.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He took a fun after-school activity and turned it into like, a cult.
No, I don't want a credit card. I'm a Tresseur.
Yeah. I jump over things.
I
don't want to pay for stuff with my arm.
It's like, you guys still have money and jobs.
It
Like,
doesn't make any fucking sense.
now, the kids go shopping. And my initial instinct when they go into this grocery store is, holy shit, it's Crystal, run. Because
I love that you recognized her. I did not know that
recognized her right away. Now, again, if you haven't heard the last episode or know the last movie, Crystal is the bad guy from the previous movie, who is the woman who...
Murdered.
She's Shane's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who shot Tina in the back.
Right.
12 feet from Shane. He watched it happen.
Yeah.
But then pretended he didn't know that it had happened.
And then tried to murder him.
And also tried to murder him, except
Right.
instead of shooting him like she shot Tina, she threw her gun away. And chased him instead. But this actress is in this movie, but she is not playing Crystal. So my first thing was like, oh god, she's working at the store. And it's like, oh no, it's not her. Okay.
Yeah, they call her by a different name.
Her name is
like,
Olia.
Olia.
Yeah.
With the Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, well, she is something.
Yes.
So they talk with not Crystal about the Vatican taking over the country, but they still all seem pretty nonplussed by it. They're just like, the Vatican's taking over the whole world, I guess that's just a thing. And Shane tells her to leave him a message if she hears anything more. And the next scene is him receiving just such a message. Because the Vatican is establishing a new universal faith. And among the many horrible things wrong with this new faith and proof of its wrongheadedness, they tell us that they're preaching tolerance. They're even going to allow gays and women to preach.
What? And this is a bad thing.
This is a horrible thing.
This is a bad thing from the point of view of this director.
As says Shane, it's anti-scriptural. And if the Vatican is so willing to toss the Bible aside, maybe they never really used it to begin with. He now goes back to his room to read the Book of Revelation and determines that the Antichrist isn't really Yugov, it's the Vatican.
And he does this all by candlelight because they're off the grid. Meanwhile, in the other room, all lights are on.
All lights are on. And they do a big thing in the movie where they explain, the Antichrist is the Vatican. What about this? What about... No one cares.
No one cares.
The point is, they write on a whiteboard, they connect the dots like a literal conspiracy theorist crazy person.
Yes.
And we're supposed to get the message that...
I wish they could have found a location underground to tape this. This should have been filmed in a bunker.
Right. The director almost certainly has a bunker. He could have just filmed in this bunker.
Maybe he didn't want it to be easily
Yeah,
recognizable.
It's like, I don't know you 6 people enough.
Right. That's for me and my cats.
Shane goes back to the grocery store to deliver this new information about the Vatican being the Antichrist. And while he's doing this, her radio and all of the others finally begin to work properly. Mm-hmm. Because a running theme through this weird-ass movie so far has been that there's a radio on, always.
Yes, always.
And it's shouting at you in, like, Hebrew.
Yes.
And finally, no matter what channel you turn it to, it's always Hebrew.
Right.
But while they were talking about this, there was an English version that slipped through for like 8 seconds.
Right.
This is going to become a really relevant part of this plot, although I still don't know why.
I also think that the girls believe that they could understand Hebrew for a short period of time.
I think that happened.
I think that's what they think happened. Because they're like, 1 minute it was Hebrew, the next I could understand it. I'm like, so English?
Yeah, they did say it exactly like that.
Yeah.
Because I had the same, I was like, do they think they
I think they think they're magic now. Also, can we talk about the sound mixing
Absolutely.
in this movie? It's bonkers. There are loud birds everywhere in their apartment. And by that I mean not visible, just the sound of outdoor birds loudly in every single building.
Yeah.
Also, it appears that they have an industrial grade AC unit in their apartment as well.
Yes.
The most nutso.
Oh yeah, because as we talked about the last one, this one's the same way. Every line is 80 yard.
Yeah.
Except they haven't decided. So apparently what they did in this movie was film with sound, so you got all the background noise, But then when they went to ADR, they just ADR'd the lines.
Yes, and then added bonkers sounds on top of it.
Right, the swishing from fighting.
Yeah,
and
swoosh, swoosh. And then, there's more. The birds were the thing. I'm like, every time they change, like when they go back and forth between like their apartment and then now we're in some military building, there's always a shit ton of birds like losing their minds.
It's the strangest.
It's distracting.
Yeah, so the sound in this movie is, it's just pure background noise. You can hear people's AC units. You can hear, I think, like an alarm clock go off at one point.
Yeah, but these are added in. These aren't actual sounds.
You think?
The AC sound was 100% not real. Like, they added that later. And you'll be shocked to learn that the director was in charge of the sound mixing.
Of course.
He is terrible. This is not, I hope he's not trying to pursue this as a real career.
Oh, man. Well, he made 3 of these things.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, the verse that came through in English, or maybe understood Hebrew, was something about the Sabbath. So now Shane and everybody wants to find out what the Sabbath has to do with the Antichrist. Blah, blah, blah. A bunch of silly bullshit happens. And now a new broadcast from the news tells us that the Vatican has passed a law that everyone must attend Mass for the new universal religion. And they're also officially banning cash. So chips are absolutely necessary to exist now. We now meet the main bad guy of our program this evening, and he is Mr. West. And he is in charge of the Pacific Northwest branch of the Congregation for Defense of Faith.
All right.
They tell us that, and I'm still not sure why.
Yeah.
But they, too, want to determine what the radio is saying. So now we have 2 sides working against each other in parallel, and it's such drama. The lead crew argues about whether they should worship God on Saturday or Sunday, and I honestly don't even know what they concluded because I don't care.
I don't care. I don't remember either what they concluded.
I believe they conclude Saturday.
Yeah.
Because the Vatican admits that they changed the date or whatever.
Right.
I couldn't possibly imagine giving a shit about that.
It does not matter. It doesn't matter to the plot. It doesn't matter to us as people.
But they also, it comes up that the chips that people do have will be deactivated for a week if people don't go to their churches on Sunday. So they'll be unable.
Basically, their money would be taken away from them.
Right, so they're
they will be
unable
robbed by the church directly.
So there's a lot happening in this movie where really nothing is happening. So it's very confusing to watch.
I'm shaking my head. It's so hard. It was so hard to watch this stupid movie.
And now back at the grocery store, Olia, or not Crystal, tells us that she intends to close down now that she can't really operate without the chips around. Or without taking chips. I don't know, having one.
Yeah.
Who knows? But she convinces them that they should go ahead and preach on the street again, on the condition that she record it and put it on the internet for them.
Is this when she gives them a bag full of power bars, too?
Oh yeah, they only eat power bars.
Yeah.
That's what we know. Because the first scene where they went shopping, they also bought an entire box of power bars.
Right. And
Which
then
I assume is the same box.
She gifts them
Yeah.
more power bars.
So here's a bunch of power bars.
Yeah, their poop's gotta be weird.
They only seem to eat power bars. It's like you can't live on power bars. Like you can live...
It's like they're Soylent.
Yeah.
It has everything you need.
But Mr. West continues to unravel the radio conspiracy, and he's as bored of it as I am. And while he's working, they come across the stream of Shane preaching to the public. He accuses the group of worshiping Shane accuses the group of people they're preaching at of worshiping the beast, and not even knowing that they're doing it, before a guy comes by to shut them down. So Shane and the others run away with their sweet PK skills, and at least this time they found people who have, in fact, run before.
Yeah, it's true.
All 4 of the people have run.
Yes, they have successfully run. Run.
The last movie could not make the same claim.
No.
At least Tina had never before had to run.
Also, the PK is not the main
It's not.
thing in this
They
movie.
do more action scenes than PK stuff.
Yeah, they fake fight a lot and do almost no PK.
Yeah. Again, from the last episode, we don't call it parkour.
No.
It's PK.
It's PK.
Because we're douches.
And this is the religion.
And this is also their
Parkour
religion.
is a hobby.
Right.
PK is God.
Just like free runners are pretty, but tresseurs are efficient.
God damn it. I hate Shane.
So Mr. West is on their case now, and he wants to track them down, which he, I'm pretty sure, literally says, track them down.
Yeah, he's very intimidating.
After a quick and pointless scene at Shane's hideout, we get to see West and his cronies track them down. So now they know where they live.
one of these guys, his last name is Kid.
Mm-hmm.
So West calls him Kid all the time. And for the first half of the movie, I was like, that guy's older than you.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was just be like, hey, Kid.
Me too, had the same thing.
And then later you see his name is actually Kidd, Kid. I'm like, well, that was a stupid choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Because, like, a partner would call it, like, West and Kid. That's fine. But you should explain that to the audience, because we thought he was calling this older man
He should have been introduced by his full name at some point early on. To be like, hi, Jason Kidd, nice to meet you.
Exactly.
And then later, when he just calls him by his last name, it would make all the sense.
Right, because I had the same thing. I was like, is he calling this man Kid?
Yeah, I'm like, why is that grown man allowing this his superior, who's barely his superior, to, like, degrade him like that?
Oh, okay, so this is the scene where Olia gives them the extra bag of power bars.
Okay.
Because they keep going back and forth between this grocery store. It's like, just stay at the stop interrupting.
Yeah.
Your own plot. Just to tell us later.
Back to the grocery store.
Yeah. But she gives them the big extra bag of power bars, and West sends a hitman to find them. He's managed to track them to the grocery store, although not actually their house yet. So they leave, and as soon as they leave, the hitman comes in and questions her about where they are. But she manages to send out a text to Shane as the hitman shoots her brother, who works in the store with her. So Shane and his boy James run back to the grocery store to save her.
Yeah, girls, go home.
Exactly.
I was like, fuck you.
You know what would be really cool in a fight against a guy? 4 versus 1 instead of 2.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 works, but 4 is better.
Right. No, we gotta protect the ladies.
So, do you remember what happens in this scene?
No.
Oh, man. So, the hitman begins to choke Olia, who called for Shane's help.
Yeah.
And Shane and James arrive into the store. And he's still choking her. And they just watch him do it.
Yeah.
Until she eventually, like... Collapses. And dies.
Yeah. They just
They just watched this man murder this girl. And now they're like...
The reason they're there is because she needed their help. And they're just watching her die.
And she just dies.
I do remember that.
And they're still staring at this guy like, glare, 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 glare.
Right. We're coming for you, but not yet.
Yeah. We're just
you
gonna
finish what you're doing.
You finish murdering her.
Yeah. We'll see you later.
And then, now we are at another epic showdown between the hitman and these 2 boys, who are the Leap crew.
Right.
And the hitman manages to hold his own against them for a bit. And they're doing that horrible thing in the movie where they're throwing really slow, crappy punches, and it's going...
Right. It's once again, just very embarrassing.
It's so bad to watch.
Also, I believe this is the fight scene where the background sound choice was church bells. Loud, gong-like church bells throughout the entire fight.
But
no sense. I couldn't pay attention to anything else.
But the hitman is ultimately taken down by the power of teamwork and probably Jesus.
Yeah, probably.
After the hitman runs away, we confirm, in case we were wondering, that Olia is actually dead, so Shane just straight up watched it.
Yeah.
He also decides to leave their bodies for someone else to deal with because they can't afford to be seen with them.
Right, so he did nothing. He
did nothing.
Not helpful.
He didn't even really avenge her death.
He didn't avenge her death, and he didn't care that she died.
No. He was like, oh man, she's dead. Yeah. Alright, let's go.
At least we got that. We beat that one guy up.
Right. He's still okay. He got hit by a car, but he's fine.
Yeah.
He ran away.
He just got punched a bunch.
So Mr. West now realizes that the Leap crew has inspired many others. And so multiple groups are putting their sermons on the internet. Shane returns home and reports to the girls that their grocery store contact was murdered. And so now they have to be prepared for being hunted because someone is after them. They still need to find the source of the radio broadcast for reasons that are completely unclear. But that's our new plot. Literally have no idea why they want to do that.
No idea.
Did you ever figure it out?
Nope.
Wes lambasts the hitman for returning to him a failure and executes him for it. He then goes to interrogate Luke from the very first scene. And realizing that he's unchipped, him and Kid, Mr. Kid, threaten to murder him here and now unless Luke agrees to infiltrate and betray the Leap crew. Of course, Luke agrees, because otherwise this already pointless scene would have been even more pointless.
Right.
Oh, and let's not forget that when Wes executes the hitman, he, reaches back and then shoots him with his gun upside down.
Yep. What? He shoots the gun with his pinky.
Yeah.
Upside down. For no reason.
We're supposed to think like, oh, what a
That
cool...
makes him a badass.
Yeah, what a badass guy.
He just looked incompetent.
Oh my god, it was so... And it's really... There's no cool way to hold a gun with your pinky.
No, there's not.
Like, I'm not to say it can't be a reasonable maneuver in, like, a movie where that would matter.
Like, in a movie where you're, like, tied up and you're barely able to get to your gun, and you just do what you gotta do. But he had both, like, full use of both of his hands.
Mm-hmm. And the other guy, presumably, is unarmed, because why would you bring the hitman in with weapons on him?
And it's not sneakier. He's still watching you get your gun out of the holster. You're just doing it stupid.
Yeah. So, it was supposed to be really cool, and it just... doesn't make any sense, as most of this movie's cool factors.
Yep.
This movie's a pain in the ass to watch. I was so upset with it. Constantly. I was just mad.
Yeah, I may have had a couple beers.
You have to. Back with Shane, one of his crew asks him why the people hunting them are comfortable killing them, even though following the Catholic Church doesn't make you evil in and of itself. So that's them trying to be like, well, just because you're a Catholic doesn't mean you're evil.
Yeah.
It just means the people that work for Catholicism are evil. But they don't even come up with an answer. And the radio comes on and they once again try to trace it. And they get a weird signal, but that's basically the answer. So we have to stick with it. And you're just like, why are we showing me this scene if you're not going to actually tell me?
Right. I breezed over that one.
Yeah. But now they're worried about finding more food, despite having enough for 6 months. So, like, how much food do we have? We have enough power bars to last.
250 power bars.
You only need one a day. But they're gonna have to trust God if they're going to get through this, and He hasn't failed them yet.
Do you think they actually got a deal with Power Bar?
I don't know.
Because they show the actual packaging. So
yeah, they do. There's no way Power Bar would want to be associated with this. First off, it's a movie about how the entire Vatican is evil. And you're not going to find me defending the Vatican.
No, but...
The Vatican is not going to take over the world.
No. Also, you as a corporation or a company, you don't want to
turn off, like, half of the world.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to. I stumbled over those words.
It's just goofy. So Luke is instructed by his new handlers to go to the marina, where he can find the LEAP crew, and will receive his instructions. Sorry, the LEAP crew's not there, but he will receive his instructions. Once he gets there, he gets a file that tells him who he's going to infiltrate, and it is the LEAP crew.
Yeah. And
he goes back to West and says, I'm not going to do this. And West is like, well, you can agree to do it, or I just shoot you in the face.
Right. Did they already put the chip in him?
I believe they've put the chip in him.
Yeah, they force him to take the chip.
Or it might be a tag, like a tracker.
It's both.
Okay.
Because,
because the chips are trackers, right.
Right.
Duh.
The doy.
So Luke grudgingly agrees to go ahead and intercept the LEAP crew, and he finds them. He tries to get in good with them. He asks if they are Christians, and if they can help him. And one of the girls has a funny feeling, because she's the only one of this 4 people who has a brain.
Right.
And the police come by, so everyone begins to run away. I think this is after one of their public sermons or something. Like I don't know.
I don't remember.
Who cares?
I don't care.
But actually, no, I don't think so, because I was wondering, why are the police chasing them? These are just kids sitting in the...
Oh, wait, is this when the brunette girl has, like, that, like, vision?
Oh, we're doing it right now.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go.
So everyone's running away, and Luke hurts himself.
Well, they're running away because she had the vision.
No, that's later.
Oh, okay, then we're not in the same spot, okay. It's the other time they get chased by police.
But they were not public preaching right now.
Right.
They were just hanging out, and the police were chasing them for reasons that are completely unknown.
Right.
But everyone begins to run. Luke falls down. He hurts himself. And so they're not going to abandon him, though, so they all prop him up on their shoulders.
Right, they'll let Luke slow them down, but not the dead bodies of their comrades.
Right. But they prop him up, and they're about to try to, like, get through this, even though he can't run anymore. But one of the girls, the black-haired one, the brunette one, has just this feeling that she can't help. And she runs over there, and she touches his leg, and it's magically healed. And he can walk now.
She's actually magic. Remember before we're like making fun of her for thinking she could understand Hebrew out of nowhere? Mm-hmm. No, it's true. She's actually magic.
Mm-hmm. And so everyone's like, wait, what just happened? She's like, we don't have time to find out what happened. Let's go.
I'm magic. Let's go.
Right.
We don't have time to talk about this.
So now we have a new mystery about this girl's healing powers. Shane points out that when they arrive back at their secret hideout, which is, again, Shane's apartment from the last movie,
Right.
he points out that Luke clearly isn't hungry or lacking training, and so asks him what he really wants. And Luke asks Shane how he knows what he believes is true. And Shane tells a story about an abusive pastor who almost drowned a kid to prove a very stupid point about the truth. Which is essentially, you will only believe it if you choose to accept it and really want it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the story?
I feel like I should have written the entire thing verbatim down, because it was so nonsensical.
The summarized version is, a kid asked a pastor or a preacher, how do you know it's true, or something like that.
Yeah.
The pastor takes the kid and puts his head underwater.
Yeah.
Until he almost dies.
Right.
And then he lets him up and he says, when you want the truth as bad as you just wanted air, that's when you'll know that it's true.
What the fuck does that... What the fuck?
So it's just a story about a pastor abusing a kid.
Right. Just more child abuse. Just nonchalant child abuse.
And Shane's like, this is how it works. I'll drown you. And then you'll know Jesus is the light.
When you're the most desperate, you will lose all reason and just accept this as true.
Luke's chip, I guess, is tapped. So Wes can hear every conversation that's happening.
Yeah, Luke's a dummy. He should just cut that out of his arm. It's really easy to do.
Especially about how, it's like a surface level, so you can easily take it out.
Exactly, yeah.
We will find out how surface level it is shortly. But it's very clear that it's just barely under your skin.
Yeah, as soon as he walked out of that government building, I would have just, cut it out of my arm and put it on a cat or something.
Right. But Wes gets to hear the conversation about how the Vatican is the Antichrist. And they're also recording this so they can report back to their bosses, which I presume is the Vatican. Luke asks about other religions like Mormonism and Hitler and other New Age garbage.
I wrote this one down verbatim. What about Mormonism, Hitler, and all that other New Age garbage? I'm sorry, what?
It's like one.
New Age. Do you know what New Age means?
It's not Hitler.
It's not any of what you just said.
I agree that it's absurd. It is not Hitler or Mormonism.
No. That's not what New Age means.
And Hitler's not a religion.
Right. Are you mad at Inya?
It's just so... hey, I don't think crystals are going to heal you. It's not how it works.
Holistics are in your head.
But
it's fine.
It is not comparable to Hitler. Or even, really, Mormonism.
No, not related at all. No.
So, whatever. But Shane tells him that all of that is just the spirit of the Antichrist. Because while the Vatican is the Antichrist itself, the spirit is everywhere.
Right.
And it emanates from it, I guess.
Adjusting again.
Come with me!
Okay.
So, Luke is incredulous, and he asks why they even care. Because at the end of the day, everyone goes to either heaven or hell. So let God sort them out, basically.
Right.
And Shane answers, ooh. Luke is answered with a pretty poorly worded version of Pascal's wager, which is, what if atheists are wrong? They have something to worry about. We don't, because if we're wrong, blah...
We're covering a base.
Yeah, it's... whatever. I don't have patience for that right now.
No, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Luke is given the night to think about it, and he sleeps on the couch. And West's tracking of them, for some reason, is not going very well. They are in a Faraday cage, so the signal's not getting out. Who knows? The next day, the crew plans their next public preaching mission, and the plan is pretty simple. Preach until the cops show up, and then run. Why are we planning that? That's really simple.
Complicated strategy, yeah.
Luke is asked to be the new person who records and uploads the video, but he's warned that there's a very solid chance that he'll be murdered, so he needs to be really sure. And he's certain that he wants to participate, and this is probably because he's a dirty, rotten spy.
Yeah.
It's hard to really tell in this movie if he's, a bad guy or not. It doesn't.
He's not a bad guy, he's just
matter.
super dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wes' partner gets a call about keeping an eye on him, while Luke trains in his PK with Shane. And he's just not very bright. That's what...
He's really stupid.
But Luke is eventually taught how to jump up a wall. So...
Cool.
We also get some good old-fashioned PK training montages, and it's just as embarrassing as it was last time.
Yes, it was.
I actually wrote, it might be worse, because Shane now doesn't have the other three to make him look better by comparison.
It's true. They all look terrible.
Mm-hmm. Because this is like his level, whereas in the other one, they were clearly, even as actors, learning it.
Yeah.
Or not as good at it, at least. So Shane was like, okay, well, Shane knows what he's doing, and these people don't. Now, they're not there.
Yeah.
It's like that joke about, like, bringing the ugly friend.
Yes.
So everyone else looks better. But if you don't have the ugly friend, it's just like, oh, well, you're all just average looking.
Yep. Like the, what do they call it? The cheerleader effect?
Yeah, the cheerleader effect. So Shane is not benefiting from that, and this is really awkward to watch. Luke snitches on the Leap crew to West, who informs them of the event on Friday. He also raised his price and says he wants like $30,000 now. I don't know.
Stupid.
And
West
does the obvious bad guy move of telling Luke that he'll be taken care of.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry.
You'll be taken care of.
It's like, come on.
We all know you're going to murder him.
If you're going to be a bad guy, the crony for a bad guy, at the very least, don't be a complete idiot.
Well, luckily he's up against an even bigger idiot.
Yeah. So, in the next scene, Luke is at home, and he finds a bomb in his house, and he runs out of it just in time for it to explode. He's escaped. Now, how did he find the bomb?
I'm not sure how he found it, but it sounded like this. Tick, tick, tick.
That's how he found
it.
Tick,
tick. No, he saw it. He wasn't like looking around for the sound at all. He was just like going about his day, making some toast.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because I swear he heard that bomb.
No, and then he was just like walking around. It was strapped somewhere. It's just like the giant,
like a radiator.
It's like a giant TNT thing, like stuck to his radiator. He's like, "What's that?" And then like just peels out of his apartment.
And then West, when because Luke calls West and he's like, "Why did you try to kill me?" And West is like, "Oh no, it was an accident. I guess someone must have messed up.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll definitely find them and punish them." And
Luke's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and then West looks at Kid and says, "Man, that kid is gullible, but he's smart. He might be useful." It's like, how is he fucking smart?
What part of that event made you think, oh, this guy's got brains?
Yeah, he's real bright. We put the bomb in very clear view with a loud ticking sound.
Right, the loudest ticking sound.
Because at first I was like, what's going on in the background of this scene?
Yeah.
No, it was the bomb just ticking away.
I didn't even question it at this point because of all the other insane sound choices.
So, the Leap crew is putting on their big event, the preaching, and Luke is late to it, because apparently this is the same day that his apartment explodes. Because he shows up just in time and says, "My apartment's exploding."
And nobody's like, "Oh shit, did anyone die?" Because his apartment exploded. It's an apartment in a complex. Mm-hmm. Somebody else was probably just taking a nap or something, and suddenly they're murdered.
But the Leap crew offers to take Luke in, but they'll have to talk about it later, because now it's time. And how they managed to draw such a crowd is completely unclear. But Shane goes out and he does some preaching. And one of the crowd members is apparently a ninja. Because he's sitting in the crowd, and as he's going to go approach them and take them down, he puts on a black, complete face mask where only his eyes appear. And he begins to run at them. The Leap crew runs away. And so now we get to watch him dressed as a fucking ninja chase after Luke and Shane, while the other three also run away, but from who is never determined. Because the ninja chased those two, and they went separate ways.
Such a good point.
They just start running, and they don't stop, but it's like, no one's chasing you. What are you doing? And then worse still.
This is a movie based on running when no one's chasing you.
And then worse still, they come across a blonde guy who's also clearly Eastern European.
Right.
And he says, "Follow me if you want to live." And they don't even ask. They just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And then they all wound up in like an alley, and he's like, "You are safe now." They're still in public. They're not anywhere. He's just like, "Oh, okay, we're slightly underneath like a scaffolding. So you're safe now, you're good." And he tells them that they are safe and their work has pleased the Father, and they should continue to do their work and to further please the Father. And then before their eyes, though off camera, he disappears because he was a beautiful PKing angel.
Was it the father of PK that he was referring to?
It has to be, since PK is their religion.
Right.
But it's just...
The Frenchman in the sky.
They're running from no one. They come across a random guy. He takes them nowhere in public and says, "You're fine now." Also, I was literally an angel.
Literally disappears.
What did you save them from? This is how God is using his angels?
The PK God, yeah.
Because we're about to tell you what happened to Shane and Luke, and they could have used an angel.
That's right.
So while the other three are running off and being led to safety by a strange angel.
A
strangel. They are chased by the ninja, and they eventually get up on this rooftop, and the ninja catches up to them. He grabs Luke, but Shane fights him off using his elite PK skills with a Z.
Yep, because PK now is really martial arts.
Right. Somehow, the grabbing of Luke has made the tracker underneath Luke's skin visible. Because again, it is such a surface level thing that if you bend your wrist, you can see it.
Yeah, it's there in the dermis.
So he could have just taken it out, like you said, easily.
Yeah.
Just, whoop, here's a squirrel.
You could probably just, like, scratch it out.
Right, because it appears.
Yeah,
because
also, I mean, they didn't heal over immediately. Like, there's still an opening
That's
of
fair.
sorts, unless he scabs really quick.
But because Shane had been fighting off the ninja, he now sees this tracker in Luke, and he's like, he's shocked. He's like, oh god,
he's one of them.
He's one of them. He's got the mark of the beast. And this stuns him enough where the ninja grabs him and captures him.
Right.
And Luke manages to get away because he wasn't actually after him.
Right.
So that's where the angel would have been useful.
Yeah, that guy left too early.
God.
He ducked out.
Okay, so we're moving on. West and his partner have lost the other three kids because an angel helped him.
Right.
And he gets a mean call from the Vatican about how much he sucks.
Sorry, that's really funny. Okay.
He says, or he tells his people that they've got one more shot or they're all going to be out of jobs. And the bad guys realize that Luke is actually the one who uploaded the video of the preaching. Presumably from all the guilt.
Right.
Somehow the video got uploaded. Shane wakes up in a cell. And we now get the strangest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie ever.
Yes.
This is the thing I was referring to last week about how they did this crazy shit that you had to see. So you remember how the girl who played Crystal was in this movie? And she was playing very much not Crystal because she was an ally?
Right. This would have been crazier to me if I had recognized her.
So Shane is joined in his cell by a different girl who actually does play the character Crystal.
Crystal, the character, is in this movie.
But the woman who plays her is also in the movie as a different person.
And this girl looks nothing like Crystal.
They have a slightly similar haircut.
Dark emo hair.
Right.
That is it.
But let's be clear. Crystal is thin.
Yeah.
This girl is not thin.
No.
She looks almost nothing like her.
Nothing wrong with it. Their faces
Yeah, I'm not arguing about, she's gotta be...
She's completely different build, completely different face.
But the particular reason I mentioned their size is because they ran archive footage from the last movie with the new girl superimposed into the scene to make it look like she was the one who was in the previous movie as Crystal. Except they don't do it all the way. And so there's a part where the new girl is looking at Shane and she's about to chase him. Then they cut to the much thinner Crystal actually chasing him.
Yes.
And it's like, we know it's not the same person. We can see her.
Insanity. Do you think they didn't want to tell her that they don't look the same?
Either do all of the archive footage and it's wouldn't have come up.
Right.
But don't try to replace her and then not bother replacing her where we have two very clearly different frames.
You're showing the past. Right. And you're showing your alternate past mixed with the actual past.
Right.
It makes no goddamn sense.
Because we have this...
It's so confusing. There was a part of me where I stared at her face for a while, like, maybe the same actress gained weight?
Mm-mm.
No, nothing about her looks the same.
No, she's just not the same person. And they didn't bother even replacing all of the footage. They used 19 seconds of it. They're like, oh, but she'd have to, run. That's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, this girl does not look like she could do the same parkour.
Maybe she can't, but they could have at least had her start to take off, because what it looks like is fucking insanity. Because she's much bigger. Then they just cut to the thinner woman.
So weird.
Don't. But anyway, so Shane is shocked to find Crystal here. And she decides to try to convince him that she is not the one who shot his friend in the back. It was her partner, the guy she was working with, who we saw in the last movie, drove off and was not involved.
Once again, just blatant lies in history. Yeah.
And in the archive footage they just showed us where they tried to replace her as the original Crystal, they also showed her shoot Tina in the back.
Are we supposed to, as the audience, be convinced that this is the truth, or are we watching him be lied to and him believe it?
The movie doesn't know.
The movie doesn't know.
So how are we supposed to know? And we also know from the previous movie that Shane was within 12 feet when all of this happened.
Yes.
So he also knows that she shot her in the back.
He watched her shoot her in the back, then pretended like he didn't see it later. Now in this movie, they're saying a completely different person shot her.
After showing us that that she in fact was the one to shoot her.
This right here is a little bit why I'm so afraid to go to trial for anything. Because these are the type of people who consider themselves eyewitnesses.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of weird, fucking strange movies. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen anyone try to pull off.
The level of failure here. The level.
It's a cascade of nonsense. This is Inception level nonsense, because you're like, no, this is wrong, but then, oh god, oh no.
It's a nonsense parfait.
Yeah. Okay. But she insists that she's changed, and she doesn't even have a chip. And Shane is a little too eager to just take her word for it, considering that we know he knows.
He questions nothing.
He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't murder my friend. You still tried to murder me.
Cool, come on. We're going to my house.
That's the thing. Even if we take her word for it, right?
She still tried to kill him.
Right, so he's just like, oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You didn't. Like, this is not how you begin a relationship anew.
No.
Sorry about the time I tried to murder you, but I'm better now.
Bring her back to your secret off-the-grid hangout with all your friends.
But the cell breaks open, probably because of Jesus' powers. Mm-hmm. And so Shane and Crystal begin to escape, while his friends begin to wonder what happened to him. For his part, Luke is interrogated by West about uploading the footage, but he insists that he did not actually do it. West assumes that he's been sucked into their tiny little cult, that he says, and points a gun in Luke's face, so Luke tells him where their hideout is. He does it immediately. It's very simple. Then he gets shot in the face for his trouble. The back of the face. Shane returns home with his ex-girlfriend, now, I guess, current girlfriend, Crystal, in tow.
I don't know if they're dating now. It's just, she's part of his crew now.
Yeah. Well, he tells the rest of them about how Luke was a traitor. And he doesn't mention Crystal until someone asks. And they're like, hold on, I think I recognize you. Aren't you that crazy ex-girlfriend of his who tried to murder him?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, that's her.
Oh yeah, she told me she didn't do it. Alright.
No one's like, yo, that's not how any of this works. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I don't either.
I just wanted this movie to end, so let's go through it.
Let's fucking get through this thing.
They tell Crystal about the mysterious mountain radio man and the angel that saved them, and she's suddenly quite comfortable calling Shane babe again.
Yep. Gross.
Yeah. Oh, and even before she tried to kill him, like chasing him, she put a gun to his neck.
Yeah.
Like, they cannot begin this relationship again until she at least apologizes.
Toxic relationship.
And I'm not ruling out very strange foreplay. I'm just saying it doesn't seem salvageable in this case. Because they haven't spoken in apparently 2 years.
She should be in prison.
But we're now back in the real world, and Crystal has a scar or wound on her ankle from the last time she tried to chase Shane and failed.
Right.
And our new magical...
They both jumped off a building. He was fine.
Because he has Jesus.
He power rolled.
He power rolled.
And she broke her ankle.
Right. And she's got a really bad scar on it now. And the magical healing girl that we have is revealed to be able to heal her scar as well. Yep. So now Crystal has just a working ankle again. So Crystal converts to Christianity.
So chill about it. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. You just fixed up a...
Wow. Cool. Cool trick.
Crystal is convinced to convert to Christianity properly after realizing how peaceful and good these people just really are.
One of them's magic.
One of them's magic. And she's not the only one who's magic, because everyone's getting miracle powers now, and the other girl in the crew, the blonde...
Right, okay.
...is not a healer, but she does get a vision of the bad guys breaking down their door.
Right.
She says, oh god!
They're coming!
I just got a vision!
And they're like, okay!
Great, let's go! So they run out of their house before the baddies get there. It's all very dramatic, and the movie is fortunately just about over.
Just about.
And it's fucking terrible. Shane uses their sweatshirts to break a car window. Do you remember this?
Yes. He tells the girls to take off their hoodies or something like that.
Give me your sweatshirts.
Like, take off your own damn shirt.
But he wraps it around his hand, he breaks the car window, and then they do a hard cut.
Yeah.
Hard cut.
To it being gone. It was just rolled down.
A possibly different car.
Yeah.
With the window rolled down.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you do this?
They wanted to try those CG skills.
Yeah,
the breaking glass CG.
It did not work.
It was horrible. All of the CG is terrible.
But he steals this car, and they drive into the mountains because they're still trying to track down the radio mountain man.
Right.
Wes's partner, Kid, shoots him in the head because he's sick of his shit, and he takes his place. They do a really horrible line. Do you remember it here?
No, what was it?
Kid starts giving the orders for a second, and Wes goes, "Who died and put you in charge?" And he shoots him in the head.
Says, you did. Didn't he say you did?
Yeah, you did. Shoots him in the face. It was just like, does anyone have a problem with what just happened?
Yeah, this is just the government.
That's how the government works.
That's how the government works. People dying left and right. That's how you. That's actually how you progress.
Yeah, that's fair.
You get a promotion when you murder the guy ahead of you.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't do well in that world.
So once they get to the mountains, the Leap crew meets a man with a dog, who tells them that there's nothing at the top of this mountain, and we end on a cliffhanger, with the Leap crew unable to determine who was broadcasting the scripture from the radio. And the movie's over. And
who has been preaching from the mountaintop?
I would normally say, what a terrible cliffhanger to end on, but I was just glad it was over.
I was so stoked. I was so happy.
It's like, oh, I'm done watching this movie. It's only 75 minutes, and it took forever.
Horrible. Yeah. I watched all the end credits, though, to see how many things was the director's fault, and it was most of it.
All of it. Yeah. The only thing he's not the main person in is acting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I bet he looks like a troll.
I don't... The YouTube channel from which we watch is his YouTube channel. It's him putting this movie up on YouTube.
Yeah, I believe that.
He's even responded to a couple of comments.
By you?
No, just like comments on the video.
So basically, I can go on there and be like, why the fuck are there birds in every building?
He might respond.
And he might respond. I could get an answer and then report back. I might do that.
So let's talk about the best and let's talk about the worst.
Okay. I actually do have a best.
Okay.
The actual soundtrack? Meaning they once again had an actual musician that did some of the, like, when they weren't fighting to church bells, they were fighting to some pretty cool, well done music. Like fight music. Like the normal kind of in a movie, you know, bum 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 bum. Yeah. Like, whatever.
The music wasn't terrible.
The music was, it stood out because it was the only thing that wasn't completely terrible. Yeah, that was the best. Worst. There's so many worsts. I don't know what's the worst of the worst.
I'm going to go with the worst being the really shitty car window breaking transition.
Nice.
It's one of the hardest, harshest, worst cuts I've ever seen in anything.
I am going to go with probably the fact that these are the type of people, this is the type of mindset that I'm most scared of.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm so afraid of really stupid people having power.
Yeah.
And that's not a bias. These are really, really stupid points of view.
Yeah. No, you're not just
that people thoroughly believe. And they're allowed to vote. And that shouldn't be.
Despite all of them being Eastern European, they're apparently in Washington. So.
That's right.
My best is going to be an ironic best. Because the best thing about this movie is the completely insane crystal thing.
Right.
It's like you said, it's a parfait of failure.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I don't understand how anyone could think this would make sense or like work.
Right.
And it's just, I have to say it's best because it's just so goddamn bold. The balls it takes to try to pull this off is amazing.
Do you think it's balls? Do you think it's like bravery to try to attempt that, or do you think that doesn't even realize how bad it is?
I don't know, man. But it's Trumpian levels of, like, just a blatant lie. And you're just like, I know you know that you're lying.
Like, if you say it loud enough, then it's true. You're like, just because you're shouting it doesn't make it reality.
Like, just because you cast a different... whatever. So that's my best. It's so crazy.
It's a great choice.
It's not worth it. But it almost makes watching the two movies, like, worth it, because you see this and you're like, wow! Like that Tim and Eric gif where he's just like,
Yes.
boom.
Mind explosion.
That's what my reaction was.
Yes, absolutely.
Even you, when you realized what was happening, you're like, oh god. I saw it in your eyes. You were like, oh no.
When you mentioned to me that the girl who played Crystal was in the movie, because I did not recognize her immediately. Yeah, I had a mind-blown moment.
So it's fascinating. So now let's talk about some things that are like this.
Okay.
Let's partake in this new media instead of this shitty Leap movie.
Great. This is something I did not prepare for. Think about
Well, let me tell you what mine is real quick.
hit me.
Spider-Man, the game.
Oh, the new one?
The new one.
I've heard really good things.
Obviously, I'm a little few weeks late on the hype train, but
Right.
Spider-Man the game looks really good. I'm going to wait until they release a complete version so I can get all the costumes, all the DLC, all that stuff.
Right.
But I've played a little bit of it, and I can say that while web slinging is more fun, when Spidey is running through the city, he parkours. And it's fun and competent.
I want to play that. Is it on Xbox?
I don't know. I don't think so.
What do I have? I have my brother's Xbox One in my room.
Then you may be out of luck.
Balls.
Although I have a PS4. You can always play my Spider-Man.
Maybe we can play Spider-Man.
when I get it.
I can learn. I am trying to be better about 3-dimensional games, which are just games now.
Yeah, that's
all
fair.
games.
All of them.
Yeah.
There are occasional exceptions, but yeah.
I mean, South Park was pretty on the border of 3-dimensional. Yeah.
You have anything you want to mention?
Let me think.
Okay, we can cut it in.
I just saw Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking great.
Is it?
I loved it. If you want to watch violence done right,
Okay.
that's the connection I'm going to make.
Okay.
Most
Because I
of
hadn't
this,
heard that, so I might see it.
I really liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what you think about it.
Yeah.
But it is severely violent.
I like severe violence sometimes.
But that's very well done and very interesting, and everybody's rad.
Cool.
So go see that. Don't watch that, not this.
Right. Now let's talk about what we're doing next week.
Oh,
Hillary, please tell us what we're doing.
Tribulation Trail. Well, you're doing it.
I'm doing it.
Yes.
With guest star.
With a guest star.
So, let me tell you what it is real quick before we explain. The Tribulation Trail, from their own website, is packed with 13 dramatic scenes containing actors vividly portraying the 7 years of trials and tribulations outlined in the book of Revelation. At the final stop of the trail, a brief salvation message is presented to the group and offers people the challenge and opportunity to decide to follow Jesus. After someone decides to follow Jesus, not only will the person's home church be able to follow up with them, beginning this year, they will be able to be discipled through the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association.
What a pleasure.
So, the audience may not be familiar, but there is a concept called a hell house.
Yes.
It is the Christian counterpart to a haunted house.
Yeah.
Where instead of ghosts and goblins and chainsaw guys.
Yeah, it's
you
basically
get-
Left Behind.
You get, like, left behind shit, or scenes that are supposed to reflect the moral hellscape that happens if you abandon Jesus. So, like, people getting abortions, or...
By the way, there's an abortion movie out right now. Did you know?
Oh, yes. Goodell, or Gosnell.
Gosnell, I think. Oh, man. That infuriating. Reading the synopsis for that made me want to punch through a wall.
Yeah.
Sorry, anyway.
Don't watch that.
Do not give those people your money. They are insane.
But the Tribulation Trail is a version of a hell house, except instead of a small house or room, it is a trail. It's about a mile. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to experience the 13 vivid scenes they're going to show me.
Yeah.
And I am attending because Hillary's unable, but I'm going with previous guest on the show,
Yes,
Savannah.
that's right. If you recall the
Holy Land.
Holy Lands RPG episode.
Savannah was there. She played Rinka Trinker,
Yeah.
and she's coming with me.
Memory.
Yeah. And that's it. That's their plan for next week. And remember, as always, if you like the show, please give us some of those 5-star reviews in whatever podcast app or service you are using. And tell your friends about us any way that you can.
Yeah.
Because we need you. We need your attention and your affection. Links to everything are in the description of this episode, and that now includes Hillary's relatively new Instagram feed.
Yeah, I don't post stuff.
That's fine. And please go to the website and send us a comment or a question at the bottom of the page so
Yeah.
we can have a mailbag. And as always,
Thank you.
for listening.
Always.
And forever.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.